Most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for the opportunity for us to join together tonight as investors, to be able to help one another, to be able to help each other, to where we can help other people, and to be able to share knowledge and to share things as in our business as to how we can help each other and other people. We ask these things in Christ's name, amen. All right.
Thank you, Santa.
Tom, are you
Yeah, well, I see a lot of familiar faces here, and that's great. I've been, had the chance to be on a number of the Tuesday morning calls at the first monthly meeting that I've been to, but just, let me introduce Gore, and he can take it from there. He is, the founder of Land Intelligence, and has about 30 years worth of experience and close to $1 billion in land development deals under his belt. So a lot of experience there. And recently he has taken that and built a property technology company with it. So we're looking at not only a lot of development experience, but also a lot of high-tech mapping and tools that can be used there as well. I'll let him, I don't want to say too much there, but I'll let him take off. And I think we'll have plenty of time for questions and everything too. So go ahead, Gore.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks, Tom, and thanks, Vincent. And I don't know you well enough to call you Santa, so I'll say Tom.
Yes, sir. Hey, look at
thanks,
millions of people call me Santa. It's okay.
It's one of my uncles was affectionately Santa Bob, and when he retired, he got the job at the local mall, and that was his thing, and it stuck. It fit him well. So you bring back fond memories with not only the look but the name. So
yeah, I retired this past year after 25 years, and we give away all the money that we made with Santa to be able to buy kids Christmas, and we bought as many as 452 kids Christmas in any one season. Also Wounded Warrior with a van, and I've done numerous commercials, all kinds of anything that we could do to make money, be on a Coca-Cola truck, that type stuff. It was, but I would only take jobs that I could tell the real Christmas story, or I tell them find another Santa. So
well, that's good, because I was gonna say it looked like that you had preserved Rudolph there behind you. So
yeah.
So
yeah. It was time for him to call it.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was the fallen reindeer, right?
We were redoing some of the house, and so we got the bookcases cleaned out. This is the only clean place I could sit.
I was just, it looked to me like maybe a reindeer got out of line over your shoulder.
That was fourth place in the state of South Carolina.
Understood. Okay, well, good.
All right.
So I appreciate being able to talk to you all tonight. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina,
right,
as it says over my shoulder. For those of you that don't know, everybody's in these virtual meetings now. So I tell everybody, when you get on these calls, everybody's wondering where you are. All the local economic development offices all around the country, they started making these things for free to be able to download. So I'm pretty sure Charleston has one. I'm pretty sure Myrtle Beach has one. I'm pretty sure Greenville has one. So just a quick tip, if you want a virtual background that is just kind of where you're from, I think it's kind of a neat thing to be able to do. So I pay that forward. So happy to talk to you all tonight. I know this is an investment group, but one of the things I'd like to be able to kind of get, and I don't know how we can get it, whether we can do it in the chat maybe. One of the things I like to do when I talk to groups is find out kind of what are some of your burning questions, right? Like, why did you show up here? Did you know I was the one talking? Because I'm sorry, but surprise, I am. And so I want to make sure you knew that we're in the same conversation. And so I can kind of tweak some of the conversation based on your journey in the land development investment process, right? So if a lot of you have done house fix and flips, or you've done raw land, or you've done wholesale deals, or you've done investment yourself, maybe you've done note investment, maybe you've done equity investment. If you could just take a minute, just so I can kind of custom some of my talking points to you all, just kind of put in the chat kind of the stuff you're most experienced with real quick. And just put that in there for me to be able to see, and the rest of the group to be able to see kind of what your background is really kind of the question.
Well, could I tell you mine?
Sure.
I've been in investing for 31 years, and I've also done timber. I'm a timber buyer, and I about I guess 34 years ago, I was on the governor's task force for South Carolina for the Edisto River Basin Task Force. And in that's what Tom and I were talking about on another meeting that we had, where we, at that time, was setting up a lot of the stuff for what we see today. And at that time, they didn't have enough push to be able for anybody to just go look at it. You had to go to a vocational school or a tech center or something of that order. And we would have overlays drawn out for people as to what would happen if anybody wanted to buy land in that Edisto River Basin. And if you were in Texas and you wanted to buy here, that's what we could do. And that's where Tom has said you are. And above that, gone.
Yeah, no, that's all very helpful. And so I see some people are single family rental and land development, private lending group, single family rentals and notes. Every kind of investment in land is always king. Cash is king. Land can get you buried. So residential and commercial vacant land, it's good. And single family. Okay, good. That helps. And so what I'd like to be able to do too is I'll do a little bit of an intro, and then I kind of like these to be interactive, because if we were in person, we would do that. So we're learning how to do that in this environment over the last couple of months. So I don't want y'all sitting there just reading your emails while you listen to me. So let's see. So I'm going to take to this. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company, and then I'll tell you a little bit about, I've got a demo here. So first off, let me check, Vincent, how much time have we got? We've got 2 hours, right?
Yeah, we've got, yeah.
What?
That was a joke.
Go ahead. Yeah.
We've got as much time as we need.
Okay. Okay. So this is normally like a 20-minute or so deal, right? I mean, I don't want to go long for you guys.
No. Go ahead, Santa.
I mean, hey, you got the time. We invited you. You were gracious to come, and we want to know what we can find out from you and how we can help you and how you can help us.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me start this guy real quick. Let me share my screen. Let's see. So I'll do this real quick. I'll start so you can see yourself probably. Okay. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So good evening, y'all. Thanks for the segue, and appreciate the couple laughs there at the beginning. So my name is Gore Bolton. I am the CEO and founder of Land Intelligence. As Tom said, I've been in the land development business the majority of my life. My dad was actually a general contractor and a land developer himself. So went to school, University of Maryland, civil engineering with a minor in computer science. So I've used the first one for a long time. I'm using the second one a lot more. So what we've developed is what we consider the rating agency for land. So think of it as being able to put a Yelp score on each piece of property. So now instead of just restaurants and great places to eat, you can look for great places to buy that are dirt. So far our traction, we've got about $2 million into the research and development of the business, including a couple patents under our belt. And currently what we're doing is we're raising our own financing round. So we're talking to investors that understand the space. Our target raise is we have a $250,000 goal by the end of this month into Land Intelligence itself. We have about 150,000 of that in negotiations right now, and those are in convertible notes. So those are our security. And then we're using those funds for software development, analytics, and marketing. So if you or anybody else you're interested in that, we can talk about that as well. So what's the pain that we're up to? So land development generates about 1 million acres of property that gets developed in the country every year. It generates trillions of bytes of data. And so what we call it is it's like juggling a house of cards on a spinning plate. If you've had to get a townhouse fix and flip to go through permits, or you've dealt with the South Carolina out of town tax that gets tripled on you or quadrupled on you in order to do a rental property, you understand what I'm talking about. Well, imagine being able to do that on a 5 or a 10 or a 20 or $30 million deal. That's what we've built the technology for, is to allow people to be able to scale their businesses. The questions that we answer are everything from zoning to wetlands to competition to markets to politics. We actually have a report to survey the local politics relevant to the competitive analysis within your market space. And then what are the absorption rates, right? All deals don't get absorbed faster. Right now, we can't buy enough land fast enough in North Texas. Right now, there's not a whole lot of people shopping in upstate New York, right? So we can kind of keep track of those trends across the country. Right now, suburban Charleston's pretty good. Myrtle Beach, suburban Myrtle Beach, pretty good, right? So that we can kind of identify those hot spots around the country, not just where we're getting COVID, but where population growth is going. So that's what we do. We take that running around, getting information from all the different people in the system. And y'all are real estate investors, so you know what it's like dealing with a title company and a real estate agent and an attorney, and then maybe an engineer's office or maybe another consultant or an architect. So what we do is we serve that up to go from 2 weeks to 1 click. The average due diligence period on a real estate deal to even decide whether you're going to write a contract on the property takes 2 weeks. And so we're serving all that up proactively. How do we do that? We do that by ingesting data. So we ingest a tremendous amount of data every day. And I have a slide I'll show you later on. But every day in the country, our software is going and grabbing approximately 45 to 50 data layers per county in every county in the country. And that includes information from ownership information all the way down to wetlands. So all the things that you normally would ask questions about a property. We also then preload growth areas. So we actually add data and add our own analytics to that. So what we like to call that is, think of us as, instead of driving around doing a windshield survey or driving around knocking on doors or walking around, the old adage, y'all have all been to the seminar where you hang the hanger on the door, right? We can do that digitally. So we have the ability to do that remotely, and we have the ability to do it in any jurisdiction. So you can save a tremendous amount of time and effort by getting our preloaded results ahead of time, and you can add your own. And that's the crowdsourced piece. So in your own account in Land Intelligence, you can survey and look at your own pieces of property and keep track of what they are. And some of you, I think, have seen the demo with Tom. I'm happy to go through that for the other folks that are here today. What that looks like, sorry I didn't pull up our Charleston one, but this is our one here in Lexington County. On the left-hand side, you're used to looking at, zoning maps, what's it zoned, and an ADC or, a Apple map or a Google map, where am I going? What we do is we turn all that into a buy, sell, or hold rating, just like you would expect to get if you were trying to buy a stock, right? And so what we focus on is creating our land ticker product, the product on the right, where our subscribers have the ability to be able to determine which deals we think are viable in the future for land development. And so we screen out all the stuff that's junk, and we keep track of all the information where people have turned over on a piece of property. Why did they drop the contract? Why did they lose that information? Keep in mind, most land deals, half of them never hit an MLS. And if you are in an MLS, you may not have access to the MLS that data is stored in. So we basically aggregate that data so that you don't have to. So what we do is we serve this up as a software as a service platform. And what you see on the right is kind of our cloud suite of products. The one in the top dead center of the Land Suite. So Land Suite is kind of the tree. So the tree is basically our software platform. And LandFax was our original product. So the first trademark I got was LandFax. So think Carfax for land. It's about a 100-page report of something. If you showed up in an engineer's office or a land planner's office, you would expect to pay about $4,000 to $5,000, and it would probably take 2 to 3 weeks to get done. That's basically the report that we now have down to hours instead of weeks. In addition to that, you've got everything you would need from a standpoint of a pro forma and a cast. The 3 critical elements of our patent are the yield and the cast. So the yield and the cast talks about how much of something. This is where I talk about every 100 acres aren't created equally. So how much of something, if I have 100 acres over here, what can I build and how much? And then same thing over here. This one, I might be able to put 100 houses because it's 1 acre zoning, Or I might be able to put 1,000 houses because it's 10 acre zoning, right? Or 10 units per acre. So we go through all that math to help you come up with what's the right offer price based on what we know needs to happen with the property. And then we have a whole suite of products through that entire life cycle that come on a la carte as you need them. So that way you're not paying for something you don't need and you're getting what you need at the stage of development you're in. So our whole process is about getting the facts, being able to maximize the yield and forecast the value. Without that yield and without that value, you really don't even know what to offer on a piece of property. And so being able to come up with that strike price of what to offer and know you're going to make money on the back end is really what we focus on being able to do up front. So let me give you a couple of case examples. Why should you care about this? So I'll give you an example of a friend of ours who's a partner. He's actually in the Dallas market. He met us. He's been a broker. He's been an agent. He's done the fix and flips. He owns he owns mobile homes. He rents out. So he's got kind of his own little portfolio of things. And so when he met me, he said, Gore, I want to get into land development. I said, okay, why do you want to get into land development? Well, I want to make a bunch of money. I said, that's the wrong answer. He said, well, I think I'm really interested in being able to navigate the complexities of that to deliver value. I said, okay, now I'm interested, right? So, okay, now you're coachable, you want to learn. And now I know that I can potentially partner with you to be able to do that. So inside of a year, we've looked at 50 deals. We've passed on 45 of them. We put contracts on 5 of them. 3 of them we dropped during the feasibility period, and 2 of them are going to go to settlement with an upside approaching right now $4 million for him to wholesale those feasibility study deals by the end of the year without ever taking title to the property. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so that's real money, real settlements, real deals that we're in the middle of using our system to get him through and our scalable solution from the standpoint of resources, right? So what I tell people is you can basically be a deal maker and we're your virtual land development department in a box. Right. And so we have software, we have experts, and we have the capability to be able to work you through the entire process, even for off-market deals, especially actually for off-market deals. So if it's listed, that's great. If it's not listed, that's okay too. And so really our goal is to be able to partner with folks that want to create a land development business where land is the underlying asset. We're not in the fix and flip business. We're not in the rental business. We are absolutely for people that want to do land development. And so let me talk to you about the minimized risk side. So the one was increasing profit and be able to, create some upside. Here's the minimized risk side, right? We have a team of business development folks that now are able to turn around the other way. So our partner has the property under contract. While he's going through the due diligence and the partnering options, our business development folks turn right back around and go towards the exit process for our clients. So we now have the ability to go to market, whether it's a national home builder, a regional home builder, whether it's a national user. We have the ability to then help them figure out where they are in the marketplace. In addition, because of my equity fund experience, we have the ability to help people understand how to finance and both raise equity as well as invest. And I have invested in deals with people as an investor. So I understand the real estate investment business. I've owned office buildings, shopping centers, housing subdivisions, you name it. I've probably either been a note or an equity investor in some sort of real estate deal. So this is kind of built, by developers and investors for developers and investors. And it's all about increasing the profit and minimizing the risk. We have a preloaded checklist in our software of hundreds of items that are put in risk minimized order so that basically we guide people through a process to make sure that instead of racking up a bill, we're basically sending the risk away. So our job is basically to attract cash and repel risk. Right. And so that's what we've built the software for. And then obviously what that does is it lowers expenses. So if you're not spending your time on something that's not going to make, that actually lowers expenses. And so that's a big focus of ours. And then because it's all we do every day, it's faster. So you're not dealing with a group that's dealing with government clients over here and retail clients over there. Our focus is the day in the life of a developer. And that's what we wake up every day to worry about. So the overall market's pretty big. So right now, the land developer is our main marketplace. That's our focus. And if you think about it, until somebody signs a contract to buy something, you really don't have any unlocked value. So that's why all of our focus is on the land developer, because the land developer is the one that unlocks the value to invite the other people to the platform, right? When you're a land developer, you're going to find equity investors. You're going to find debt investors. You're going to potentially need design services from the architecture and engineering community. You're going to potentially take it all the way through to construction, where you're basically building the roads and the utilities if you want to, and you're going to need relationships with general contractors and design builders. So our core focus is for the person who sits there at the table with the farmer, with the landowner, with the widow, with the couple, with the new inheritant, with the trustee, right? Or the bankruptcy court, right? We basically, our focus is that buyer that wants to unlock the value and unleash the potential of the property. That's who our focus is. So if that's you or that's somebody you know, those are the folks that we've built the platform for. The rest of the groups in our mind are all referrals and agents and potentially marketplace users. So I'll give you an example. One of our current users, he's got his engineer on there. He's got his real estate attorney on there. He's got a couple of his equity investors on there. So now we've created a portal where he can manage his projects and he can bring his resources into one common place. They don't have to, what Dropbox, you don't have to use this, that, or the other. They can all get the same information from our platform. Okay. And we make money by selling those subscriptions, reports on demand, and then enterprise deployment. So lots of competition in the space. I'm sure some of y'all have seen CoStar. I'm sure some of y'all have seen Zillow. I'm sure some of y'all have seen some of the folks on here. The big difference for us is we're about future analytics. It's the quote I like to use is Wayne Gretzky, right? He scored a lot, not because he skated to where the puck is. He scored a lot because he skated to where the puck was headed. And so our job is to basically help with market intelligence and understanding where a market is going. Like I said, we're not going to download a lot of information in upstate New York. We're not going to download wetlands in Maine in our database. Why? Nobody's asking about wetlands in Maine, right? But we need to know where the coastal flood hazard areas are on the coast of South Carolina, because we know people are moving in that direction, right? So that's the kind of data that we'll ingest based on future population growth and trends. So we're all about future analytics. The kind of corny phrase that has come up as we've developed the company, an easy way to think about us is, if it has a door, you don't need gore. So that's kind of the easy way to think about it is, if it's an office building and all you want to do is repurpose it and put tenants inside of it, not us. If it's an office building and it needs to be torn down and turned into something else, or it's a shopping center, or especially if it's a regional mall, if it's sitting there on 50 or 100 acres and it just needs to be torn down and start over again, that I would say is us, right? But if you're going to buy, a row of 5 townhouses, renovate them, resell them, turn them into condos, not so much us, right? So our revenue forecast at 25,000 users, paying an average of $200 a month, is a $60 million a year business. So that's where our business is headed. So I like to say we're award winning and good looking. And we've got a bunch of awards under our belt for to date. We are patented. We're sponsored by the University of South Carolina's Columbia Technology Incubator. We are an Esri Emerging Business Partner. So those of you may or may not know who Esri is, they're the largest GIS platform in the world. So we basically are a partner with them. So we have some world-class scale-up capabilities as we get more and more folks. And then that is actually a snapshot of our pre-COVID team meeting prior to everybody having to work from home. Just a little bit about our exit process or long-term view. This is a group of investors, right? Everybody's got it. Everybody asks, first question, I'm going to give you the money. When do I get it back? Right? So our answer to that is within the next 5 years. There's a lot of consolidation from a lot of very large companies that are buying property technology companies that don't have a front end that serves the land development community. And so that's the opportunity that we're serving. So with that, I'll transition over to our demo a little bit. We are currently doing that $250,000 seed round. We're in negotiations on the first 150. We just opened that last week. went back to existing investors, went back to existing referrals. So if you all or anybody else that you know of might be interested in that, certainly welcome to have a follow-up there. And then that is in anticipation of getting the software finalized for full use, and then opening a larger round later on in Q4 for what we would traditionally call a larger seed round, or even kind of a pre-A round in the venture space. Shane is our CFO. So if any of you are interested in that, his email address there is shane@landintelligence.net. Mine's down there to the left, and I'm happy to put that in the chat. What I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to flip over and let's see, I'll just maximize that. Can you still see my screen with the colorized map?
Yes.
So this is a demo of a live instance of our data. And so this is I got contacted by, so COVID, everything shuts down, right? So I get a phone call from a friend of mine, and he says, "Hey, Gore, I have a strange request." And I said, "Well, I get them all the time. What is it?" He says, "Well, you know, COVID has shut down kind of the movie industry and everything, and TV and film production and everything." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I got this guy, he's produced a couple movies, and they want to put together a fund to buy real estate." And I said, "Okay, great. Sounds like my kind of guy." So anyway, this is a very well-known producer out of Hollywood that basically they've put together a fund. And so we have built them a mock-up of Joshua Tree, California. So I'll zoom out real quick so you can see it. So this is a live instance of our data, but it also includes some mock-up of our capabilities. So, you know, Joshua Tree, for those of you that don't know, is a few hours to the east of LA and a few hours to the northeast of San Diego. So they see Joshua Tree as kind of the next thing in the path of development. And so what we've done is we've created a land ticker for them. This takes just a second to load. But what you can start seeing is it's starting to filter in, and it's running the analytics of all the different scores that you look at. What's the school zone? What's the district? Does it have water and sewer? You know, should I buy it? Should I not? How many acres is it? All those types of questions. We're basically having the machine run through a lot of that in order to light it up on a map to tell us where our buy, hold, and sell signals are. So what you can see in here is you can see, you know, these different green parcels. Now what I have the ability to do is click on that parcel, instantly see land ownership, value, and then I can get down here to what my buy rating is. There's a whole lot more data behind this, and we basically, what we do with our enterprise customers is we'll take all the list of data we have and say, okay, well, what do you want in your dashboard? Here's a couple examples of what that looks like. But now, very quickly, we also have I just forgot to mention this. We have a partnership with a grocery retail data firm. And so one of the biggest things in land development you want to watch is what the grocery stores are doing. And so we actually have an ingestion of the grocery store data so that we can actually get same store sales, as well as where the retailers are planning on growing their food base. Because if they're planning on growing their food base, that's a lead indicator for where they're anticipating residential growth. So where they're anticipating residential growth is typically then going to be where obviously the rooftops for housing and other, you know, activities, you know, everything from Top Golf to entertainment, you know, obviously COVID affected, right? But, you know, grocery stores are kind of the lead indicator that are pretty good. So you can leverage in your real estate business. Now you can leverage all the market data that all the publicly traded grocery stores and developers go through for your business without having to buy all those extra reports from all those different sources. So that's a good example of the type of data we mash up and serve up for our users that don't have 20 people in their back office, right? So they want to be able to consume that at a more normal pace. So then, so basically what we work on the backside, so I'll go through kind of the demo of how it works on the backside. So our software is basically a set of products for you to be able to scout, score, manage, and de-risk your projects and your contracts. So that's what our software is built for right now. And that's through the entire search, offer, due diligence, and disposition process. So everything from finding a site, putting it under contract, getting through the zoning and feasibility items all the way through to permits. And then we have a list of expertise items that come up, whether it's market studies, government studies, our standard facts, yield and cast, kind of our offer, like, hey, make sure you have this covered. How are you going to make money before you sign the contract is what I always say. If you don't know how you're going to make money before you make the offer, it's probably money in real estate is made when it's bought, right? And so we help people buy it right. And then not overpay, right? Because overpaying is how you go under in this business. So basically being able to make it through all the way to the entire flip process on the disposition. I'd say 80 to 90% of the people that use our platform are going to end up wholesaling or flipping the paper. They're going to get to the point where a national builder or somebody takes them out. It's not to say the national builders won't use the platform, but if any of y'all have ever sold to publicly traded companies, those aren't decisions that are made overnight. So our go-to-market is absolutely dealing with the people that put stuff under contract and then need to exit. So just to give you a little example on what the backside will look like, this is that same place in Joshua Tree. So now I imagine I'm sitting here looking at my land ticker and I'm kind of interested in this property. Well, now I can see, who owns it, what our rating is. So now I'm interested in that, right? So now I can add that to my management board. So now that flips me over to my land board account. The land board account just gives me the ability. What that did in the background is it just set up my file system. It just set up my ability to be able to share and archive that. And it gave me the ability to store plans, different data layers, checklists that I have, or documents that I need to manage. And I don't have to go through separate cloud providers to be able to do that. And anybody that I want to invite to my platform that's on my account, I can do that with. Again, so now it's deal by deal. As you all know, on deals, you might have a different attorney, you might have a different design consultant, you might have a different financier, you might have different people on each deal. So now you can basically manage those access rights by deal. And so that's a big feature a lot of people ask for. And then we can build in workflows. So say you're interested in this property and now I want to send them an offer. So now I can send them an offer, right? And so now I've sent the offer out, right? So now I can basically move this from the left to the right, and we can build in workflows where your contracts come up, your contracts get sent out. And a lot of these contracts are standard contracts that basically either you've used before or we have access to in our library, and they can be pretty much easily automated in the system. So we can help manage those workflows. Again, some people don't want to do that. They want to use it the way they use it in DocuSign or Adobe Sign or whatever, and that's fine. Gives you the ability to store it in here so that everybody on your team has access to it. So then basically what we do, and I'll show you this in the demo, in the live demo as well, is we have kind of 15 basic criteria that I always use. So I bought, so Tom said $1 billion. So the way that this originally came up was I was a general partner of a land development fund where we bought about $500 million worth of real estate in 18 months prior to the last housing crash. And basically we perfected a checklist where we could basically run through in 5 minutes and rank a piece of property to compare it. How do I compare a property in Virginia to a property in Texas? And so what we did was we basically came up with that scoring system. And so everything from size and shape to flood impact to the zoning. And so now, to the right is good. The more stars is good. The less stars is bad. And so we can basically create that system. Does it have water and sewer? What's the topo look like? What's the proximity to highways? So we have these preloaded into our system. So once you do that, then you can select that property. And so now say you go through that and you've got 20 properties you just looked at. Go back to the example of our partner in Texas. He looked at 50 deals. So how do you compare 50 deals? Well, you can go online right now on Amazon and you can compare stocks better than you can compare real estate, right? And so right now our mission is for you to be able to compare real estate just like you can go on Amazon and compare products. And so now by answering the same questions and getting the answers correct, now you can compare apples to apples. And so then what we've done is we've built in all of my years of questions, step by step, stage by stage, in what we call risk minimized order. So we've built a product called Land Risk, where we go through all the questions in order of the projects that automatically kick them out. Oh, I have a mile's worth of water to extend to the site. oh, there's a $2 million transportation fee that South Carolina Department of Transportation needs for an interchange improvement, right? So we basically go through all those critical questions, and literally, so $5 million was actually the truth on a project in Charleston that we just did a report on, that basically the developer was getting ready to pay $20 million for a piece of property. It was kind of tight at $20 million as to whether it was worth it. And we found out that the SCDOT, because the impacts, the offsite impacts were going to be about $5 million they were going to look for this development to pay. Well, that means the property is only worth $15 million when you have that much offsite infrastructure, right? So that was critical. I mean, you're talking about the difference between a deal making and not, right? So those are the types of questions that we build in. And what we also give our folks the ability to do, like a survey. So I'm a licensed engineer and surveyor. I'm a surveyor. I'm an engineer in South Carolina, but I'm a surveyor in Maryland, Virginia. But basically, has it been surveyed? Well, we need to find that out. Well, who's going to find it out? What do they need to find out? When are they going to find out? And did it get done? So now you can go through, if you have 20 deals going on and they all have the same questions, well, now you can bundle your services to your service providers, or at least you know who to follow up with on what deal. And so that's a big time management and project management issue that land developers are running into. The average developer will get to 2 to 3 projects that they're managing, and they tap out because they don't have an outsourced development and they don't have a system in place. So no different than QuickBooks provides a bookkeeping service for bookkeepers and small business. We provide a business operating system for developers and their team. And so then we go through secondary site constraints and then environmental, everything from wetlands to underground storage tanks. Some of the data that we have in the system is leaking underground storage tanks or propane tanks, farm ponds, agricultural easements. I mean, you name it. We have all kinds of stuff in that area. And then it gets down to the contract. So the average person is going to have 5 to 6 contracts under negotiation at any one time because they know half of them are going to fall through during feasibility. So now you have the ability to say, okay, I signed this contract on the 19th. I put down a $10,000 refundable deposit. I have a 90-day feasibility. At the end of 90 days, I cough up another $1,000. That goes non-refundable. I get another 90-day feasibility. I cough up another $5,000 that's non-refundable, right? And so now I can basically calculate and have dates in the system of my cash flows overlaid on pre-contracts. So most people in land development, where they go wrong is they get ahead of all the cash they have to spend before settlement. And then they get those cash flow curves messed up and they don't make the right vendor agreements relevant to everybody getting paid at settlement. Right? They hire everybody on cash. They hire the surveyor on cash. They hire the environmental firm on cash. They hire the civil engineer on cash. And they don't understand that those bills are all racking up, right? While you're trying to get your feasibility work done. And that's what we try and head off in the contract and cash flow management piece. So with that, I'll show you this real quick and then I'll open it up for questions. This is a live look at our data. So right now, what you're going to see there update while I split it across. We have national data of every owner and tax assessment in the system. So that's basically an average of about 10 or 12 layers of data is the yellow that's live in our system right now. The dark green is pretty much everything I talked about we can do dark green. So that's everything down to parcel level, zoning, wetlands, underground storage tanks, all that. And we focus mainly in the Southeast. Because from Virginia to Florida and Texas, and then you see I loaded a bunch of the California data there for the Hollywood group. So that was a little bit of a shift. But the 6 states of Virginia to Florida and Texas are expected to accommodate about half the growth in the country. So if we just get those 6 states right, we're in good shape. And so that's where we're clearly focused on getting very deep data on those 6 states and then cursory data on the other ones to where if folks take us into that area, we can certainly work there. But we're not writing software to automatically update zoning in Wyoming right now, for instance. But we are in South Carolina, along the coast especially. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview about what we're up to, and happy to open it up for questions and answers.
It's amazing. Did you hear? Am I muted?
We can hear you.
I'm going to get you to talk to my wife. She doesn't understand why I spend so much time on this.
Oh, no, man. It's amazing. That's a fantastic job to do. And what we did years ago was just a tiny tinkle on a bell. All right, people, don't get a lot, Jaws. Let Gore answer some questions for you.
Well, I thought it was really interesting. I mean, I've talked with Tom before and was aware of kind of what y'all did, but I didn't realize, honestly, how deep you could go in this process, right? And Gore, you had touched on a lot of your users are those people who kind of structure the deals and then exit to a developer. So that's really I've spoken to Tom about it. There's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, we're a scalable resource for people that are typically working from a Roadrunner, Yahoo, Comcast, or a Spectrum email account. And so that is a big part of our business. And of course, if we do that well at the deal stage, right, then we have national relationships. And I've worked for all the national builders, REITs, all that stuff, right? So we have a lot of those folks to where we have the ability to then turn on the other pieces on the exit side.
I wish Will didn't have his emergency out of the country in Brazil, and he would really be excited about this.
Well, I've got it recorded, so we'll send it to Will so he
Okay.
can watch it. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. I forgot we got it on YouTube too, right?
Yeah, it will be. Well,
I missed what the website is. How do we access it?
Sure. So I'll show you real quick. So if you go to landintelligence.net, I'll show you real quick. Good question. That's a basic one, right? We can get that one. We can answer. I know the answer. So if you just go to landintelligence.net, you got get started. So you can just click get started. That'll put you into the system. They'll validate who you are. We do validate who folks are so that we're not getting, we're not getting princes from sub-Saharan country signing up, right, with a Yahoo email address. So we do validate who people are. So if you do that, then basically we'll get you a free trial. Right now, the free trial doesn't have everything you saw in the demo. The enterprise version does. But what you will see in the little Zoom thing is catching me. I got to fake the Zoom thing out. Hang on a second. So here's what I'll show you. You'll see in the live instance on the back end. Go ahead and ask another question while I'm pulling this up if you want to. Sometimes our site has security in it, and I've noticed sometimes when I'm sharing while I'm trying to log in, it doesn't like that.
Yeah, when we do Sean and I do the demo, we do what we can, but Gore has about as much many years of experience in this as I have weeks at this point. So it's a little bit of different when he does it.
So yeah, so this is a good example. This is our live database, and so basically what we can do is you'll see there's different sites around the country. So this is the live SaaS version. So this is kind of really what we call our light version of Land Suite. You can scout, you can manage, and that's basically the main functionality you can do right now. But at least you can start keeping track of your deals. So what you have the ability to do is most of you all are in Charleston, right? So what you can see here is, once you get kind of dialed into where you are, right? Let's just look over here on tell me where you guys want to look. I'll go wherever you want to.
Somerville.
So just kind of in this area?
Yes.
All right. So now once you do.
We do the Tri-County area, the group does. That's our main focus, but we buy other places.
Right. So this, what you'll start seeing is you can start seeing a little bit of a blue tinge.
Yep.
So the blue tinge, I'll scoot over here a little bit. You guys probably know where this is. So the blue tinge are the parcel lines. So I'll zoom in just so you can see what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So these are, so now, I mean, y'all used to go into county websites and all these different websites to get all this stuff. So we mash
Right.
all that up. So again, I mean, this is a house, right? But just to show you that what I'm talking about is true. So I want to select this property. Yes. Now I've got my little land intelligence pin there. Now I can click the pin and there's all the owner information. There's all the information that you would need in order to contact the owner.
Hmm.
Right. So not only though, now I've got this vacant piece of property over here. One of y'all on here probably knows who that is. But now I want to select that. So now I want to know the same thing. Carnes Crossroads Associates.
Hot
1500.
area. Hot area.
Right. So here's a, does anybody know who Carnes Crossroads Associates is?
Nope. I don't. But that's the big builders is in there now with Nexton and all that.
Right.
I know
So
who they are, but that's about it.
right. So my point is that now in our database, we would then go say, okay, what do we know about the owner? Are they in some sort of a permit or an approval process? Whereas if you're just looking on Google Earth, looking for property, right? There's a big vacant piece of property. Let me go look. So that's the kind of things that we head off, is being able to say, look, that's already getting developed. But here's why that's important as well. If they're in the middle of a development permit process and you're scouting for land, you need to understand who your competition is in the market or who your potential customer is. What I always say is the people that are already at the permit counter don't necessarily have to be your competition. They could very well be your customer. And so that's the level of data at the market level that we catch on the properties as far as where they are in the backlog in the process. So we go grab information from the planning and zoning offices, and we would have that. In this case, we don't have that live yet. We would basically do that market intel and overlay it in here and say, hey, that project, that community has 15,000. And we just ran this report in another community up in Maryland, actually. They have 15,000 lots, paper lots, that were at the front end of entitlement. And the agency, the jurisdiction only gives out 1,000 building permits a year. So they have 15 years of single family inventory on the books. So if you're going to invest in real estate in that community and you don't know the basic, how long would it take for all of the approved lots to be built? That is the number one question you basically have to ask, in your absorption rate. If you can't figure that out with the planning and zoning office in 5 minutes, what's your average building permits of this product type, and how many people are already in front of me in line in the permit process to build that? That's just as important if you're going to build an office building, and this is the CoStar model, right? How many square feet is vacant? What's my vacancy rate? Why are you going to put up a new office building when offices are at 50% vacancy in this zip code? It doesn't make sense. There's no market there for that, right? And so we do the same thing on land, is we make sure there's actually a market there, because looking at a map like this, there's a bunch of vacant land in Charleston or in North Charleston or West Charleston that you can buy. Sure, there's infill, there's all that. If all that's already planned out and already spoken for, and better yet, if they've got 2,000 houses there and the jurisdiction only builds so many hundred a year, why am I looking there? Because I'm not even going to get my project out of the ground for 5 years or 10 years. So now I'm looking at a land banking deal. So that property is not worth a development price. It's worth a land banking price. So now I've got to do a discounted future cash flow of when I think I could get in line to get it developed. And now it's not worth retail. It's not even worth wholesale. It's worth land bank rates. So that's the evaluation that we go through so that you don't overbuy.
That's
Is there a tutorial on there about how to use this product effectively?
No. So currently we do not. We're signing up people for trial users that are interested in working with us for more than just the SaaS product. So currently right now we've limited it to folks that are basically setting up their land development business and need some help with that. There will be a trial on there when we're a pure SaaS for the software as a service. So it's more aware of that. But mainly what we get is we're getting trial users right now that are kind of in that business. And then Tom just posted in the chat, we are working on Land Development University, Land Intelligence University. I have about, I don't know how many hours of DVD. I actually recorded a DVD series 15 years ago and was selling the DVDs online on how to develop land. So we're actually redoing that right now for this exact purpose, to weave in how to use the software. Good question, though. I appreciate the question.
Yeah, with all the people that are doing storage buildings, especially right in that particular area we're just looking at, I don't know. They must not have been checking to see wherever somebody else had a storage building, or it is a great need for it. But my God, they were in there. That group, right down from College Park Road back out to Carnes Crossroads in that area. Everywhere you turn, there's a storage building complex.
Yeah, so I've done a bunch of mini storages. That's a pretty specialty industry right now. And so what I like to think of us as is kind of an aggregator across all the specialty industries that have cropped up. There's the retail ones, there's the mini storage groups. They focus on the end use, which is great, right? Begin with the end in mind. What happens though is, how do those interrelate, right? And so the mini storages, they'll tell you, you can run the demographics. You can run the demographics on a radial search, and I've invested in as well as funded mini storage units before, and it all comes back to, what is that average household income, and the number of rooftops within a certain mile radius of that mini storage determines whether that thing will work or not. And so a lot of times what we can do is a reverse search for folks, right? We basically call that basically being able to do a filter with the end in mind. So, hey, I want to build a mini storage. Where should I build it? So what we can do is actually overlay the demographic information with the zoning information and light up on a map the properties you should pursue that'll actually make you money. Because what everybody does now is they go grab a listing and test the listing, which is great. You need to do that. But what we try and do is use the data to indicate what you should even be looking at, whether it's listed for sale or not.
That is the Congaree River right in your background, right?
It is.
Yeah, I thought I recognized the rocks. Yeah.
So any other questions? Good question. Thanks for the question on the training. That's a conversation we've had internally. Most everybody here is an enterprise client of ours at this point that are in the trial. We don't have any pure what I would call SaaS only users right now. The folks that we have in there are typically doing other business with us to get started.
So what does being an enterprise client entail?
So basically we're helping with basically being kind of your virtual land development back office. So what we do is we help folks through that process of sifting through all the deals and go through that. So like I said, the one partner and client we have in Texas, it's scalable, right? Hey, take a look at these couple deals, give me some information, or hey, meet with me once a week, help me go through my deals. I got 10 I scurried up, help me filter through them based on your expertise. Let me know whether I should write a contract on them. Okay, now I've got 2 contracts out. I'm waiting on those to come back. What do I do now? And so it's really kind of that bob and weave each week that kind of people will have us participate with them. and go through that process of really helping them shop. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's kind of I mean, when I did my fund, we kind of called ourselves secret shoppers of land, because the people we were flipping to, when Warren Buffett shows up to buy your property, the price goes up, right? So if a research firm, a rating agency like Land Intelligence calls you, we're just getting information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So typical engagement for us is basically helping people grow their funnel. I mean, that's really what we're here to do, is be able to help folks grow their land development portion of their business. And most everybody starts out doing it part-time. They spend 4 or 5 hours a week. They have an hour to 2 hour call to start out with. That normally ramps up into, hey, I have this under contract. Hey, I need some more information. Hey, I need a little bit more of this. Hey, I can do this myself. I'll come back and answer their questions. And so we basically operate as a scalable augmentation to that.
Basically, we can come in whatever you're at, and work with you to figure out a way to grow that from there and move forward. So.
Yeah, I'll go back to I'll show my screen on the demo piece. So just to kind of put a fine point on it. So just to kind of go back to this. So, we have the software for kind of what I showed you, but really the expertise is what's the market, some of these things you may know. Hey, I got the government stuff. I know who the planning commission members are. My uncle goes to church with me and he's the chair of the planning commission. Great, fine. But we will want to double check that, because we don't want to leave any stone unturned. The market, like I was talking about, the market and the absorption rates, like that's critical. You can't put a piece of property under contract if you can't get out within your contract terms. If you've got a 90-day, 120-day, 180-day feasibility period, and you find out that the market absorption rate is 3 years, you're not going to be able to go to closing. I mean, unless you just have $2 or $5 million laying around to buy the property, right? But again, now you got to make sure you've bought it for a banking situation, not for a flip. So then normally, right around the time we offer and put the contract out for the offer is where we do the land facts, yield, and cash report. And we basically do those, go over them with you. Hey, this is where we think the land cost needs to come in for this deal to pencil, right? So I call the land cast kind of the first napkin pro forma you should do before you even think about sending a contract out. And we do simple things, right? Call the planning office, call the agencies. We ingest their data. We validate it. We make sure you have the right zoning, all that kind of stuff, that this is actually what you're looking at. I'll give you an example. A client of ours that we worked with there, there was going to be upgrades to the road system. And so we overlaid the county's master plan with the zoning map. And we found that there were going to be improvements to the water and sewer and roads in an area. And we found a house that was listed for sale for $250,000. It was a 3-bedroom Rambler. But within 3 years, the county was going to bring water and sewer to that frontage road. And when they improved the road, it was going to be on the corner of 2 4-lane roads. So we bought the house for $250,000. We rented it out to pay the mortgage and the overhead as a rental property. And 2.5 years later, when all that work was done by the county, we flipped it to a convenience store for, I think, $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of data and I can guarantee you there are deals like that in every county. You just got to look for them. And so those are the types of things we can do with our data to be able to figure out what the strategy is on the property. And then of course the due diligence and entitlement. We have people on staff to be able to do the plans, to be able to go through rezonings, to be able to do void analysis, right? What's missing in this marketplace. I've got Subway, and I've got, I always think of it in terms of retail, but you can do it in residential too. I've got Toll Brothers and I've got D.R. Horton, but I don't have a mid-market builder in here, right? So we're missing a mid-market builder in this area. Hey, what mid-market builders might be interested in this marketplace? And then we can go all the way through the design and permit process. So basically we can draw the plans, we can submit them, we can get them approved. And then we can manage basically the other design professionals that might be needed, from geotechnical engineers to historians to archaeologists. And then we can help on the flip side. So like I said, one of our partners that we're working with right now, we're going through the entitlement process. We know we want to flip the property. And so one of them is a mobile home park. And so we're contacting all of the major mobile home operators in the country to ask them if they have an appetite for a deal in a submarket in the United States. And so then once that happens, then basically if that answer is yes, so we're doing that market research, we might, out of the 50 top mobile home operators, we might find 5 or 6 that are interested in that market. We schedule a meeting with our developer client, and we basically go through the process of which one of those 5 or 6 they might want to take down the deal. Give you a good example. So that particular client put the property under contract for $2 million about 4 months ago. Basically figured out it was actually perfect site for a planned manufactured home sites. We have figured out that we can get 1,000 manufactured home sites there. We have searched the manufactured home site developers and really owner operators. They'll pay on average $7,000 for an entitled lot once you know that you can get water and sewer to it. So we're flipping that to them for $7 million.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that in Columbia?
those are real live deals in our portal right now.
Was that in Columbia?
Was not.
Okay.
But those are the types of deals that we work on. Is don't buy too high, always have an exit strategy, always have a funding strategy, right? And so that's we use the technology. So my 3 core pillars that I focus on every day is development, land development, capital. You got to have capital to run this business, whether it's raising equity or debt or having partners, and being able to structure that to create the capital, right? And then the technology side. How do I have technology enable all of that to happen?
You've done a great job on that, buddy. Proud of you.
Yeah, this is really amazing stuff with you guys.
Yes.
And that's kind of the thing. Like I've got buyers that specifically buy land in neighborhoods, and Tom and I, like I said, we've talked about this before, right? So you guys are, and here's what are you reverse engineering that, right? Are you finding potential land that could work for, in this case, mobile homes, right? For end buyers, and then putting it together a lot that way.
So think of it like this, right? So so everybody here has probably seen either tax sales, right? Or some sort of foreclosures, right? Or all these quick hit deals where it comes out, you got to show up, you got to post your money, right? Whether it's a tax sale, whether it's a foreclosure, whether it's a bank owned, or, there's some sort of auction. Auctions are actually a really good example too. So auctions are probably a great example, whether it's a tax sale or just a regular auction. Estate auction could be an estate auction. Most of the time, those aren't represented by a brokerage house where you have a lot of the research that sometimes is offered up as help. But remember, the seller is not going to give you all that information. You're the buyer. You've got to do your own investigation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually a perfect play for us. So we have a group right now that focuses on tax liens, and they want us to sort through all the state tax liens when the tax sales come out and run our system on it to determine which one is a $250,000 Rambler that now I can just buy the $1,000 tax coupon. But I know it could be that $2 million gas station. That's what our data enables people to be able to do.
Wow.
So that's a great example of how we do that. And so a lot of times, for those of you who may be starting out, we start small, right? And so I've been through this process before. I know how to get there. And so, it's kind of crawl, walk, run. And so we do have a discovery process, and we have an ability for people to be able to kind of start out. We also do have a partnership model. So I call it DREAM, the Development Real Estate Asset Management System. And that's where I'll actually partner with folks. I do that on a limited basis because I'm on the board and I help raise money. So that is a feature that I do for probably about 4 or 5 people a year. That's it. But I basically help them get set up, and I really kind of am in a 3-legged race with them to be able to build their land development portfolio. So it's as scalable as you need. I mean, you know, but I know we have, if you're going to develop land, I know we've got the end-to-end coverage. You know, because everybody has they might have a family member that's a planner, or a family member that's the real estate attorney. I mean, people have relationships, right? So we want to respect those. We typically, though, have the ability to kind of figure out whether those relationships are at risk at the holiday dinner table. we want to help you preserve those relationships.
So what's next for those of us who want to learn more?
So if you'd like to learn more, certainly feel free to either drop us an email. You can send mine I'll put it here in the chat. Tom is in there, and then I'll just put mine in here, right here. Happy to do so. And then Tom is Tom at Land Intelligence. Yep, Tom got his in there and I got mine in there. So feel free, happy to follow up with folks, help them along their way. And you'll actually help us inform, you know, hey, what's the next feature? We changed around some of the land suite stuff from some of our existing clients saying, I really want this one first, not that one. And so it helped us determine what things they wanted to be at their fingertips and on their phone, or, you know, on their laptop late at night that they kind of wanted to do self-service, and they didn't feel like they wanted to ask somebody, but they'd appreciate having a tool to use it.
Thank you.
Sure. Happy to help.
Got it together, Bo. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no, thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for,
Thank you.
we really appreciate what he's really shared times with us on what some other people that we've had that wanted to talk to him about it. And what you said there just makes my mind just spinning right now. I know some people that this would be a great use for, and that I can work with them and they can work with us and that kind of stuff. I'll be glad to introduce them.
All right. Well, thanks. Well, we appreciate that. And like I said, anything that you all can do, you know, y'all are an investment group. So, you know, we have a lot of folks a lot of times that put together deals on this where they need limited partners. So what I tell a lot of people is a lot of times that's an easy way to start, where if you've got that going on, or if you all have an investment club, one of the things we've been asked to do is help people set up the clubs for this, where it's the land investment club. And a lot of clubs like this, a lot of times will take up that mantra, where people start putting in a little by little to be able to kind of have a slush fund to be able to participate and see how it goes. That's actually how my original hedge fund started. Was myself and about 6 other people started putting in a modest amount, and I mean modest amount of money every month. And over the course of a couple of years, it turned into a nice little thing that we were able to grow into larger projects. So it was a neat thing, and it allowed folks to be able to use the investment club model, just like if any of y'all have been in a stock club, you can do it for real estate too. So I'm not sure exactly what your model is, if it's all just individuals and deals back and forth. But when you start having people, you know, make that kind of a commitment, that gets interesting. So that can be an option. That was actually kind of what I consider to be my first angel group I got involved in. And that was incredibly insightful because you got to participate in larger deals without having to write larger checks.
Well, this is that as us founding members, that was one of the things that we want to do, is what you're talking about, is like a club thing, to be able to help the members, because this thing's all about education. Most real groups, most investment clubs, investment groups. It's not about it's about the money, but it's how much money they can put in their pocket, and it's not about giving the individual person that comes in that wants to learn an education, and that's where we are. And so we want to try to help fund some of those educational things that they could do, and to be able to prosper quicker.
Yeah. And so I'll give you a great example. I mean, over the course of about a year, myself and about 11 other, about 10 or 11 other folks, we started with an average of $1,000 a month. And we put $1,000 a month, so it's $12,000 a month. And so we started putting that into a pot over the course of a year, grew into 6 figures. Well, then we started being the lender for everybody's quick deals or their fix and flips. And then we started being the lender or the equity investor in the down payments on property. And so that 100,000 turned into 200,000, turned into 800,000, turned into 2 million inside of 2 years. And then we used that to be the general partner to raise a fund. And then that fund basically went out and got limited partners, and we were able to use that $2 million as leverage. And then we went and got another $6 million in equity from outside investors, from the limited partners. So now all of a sudden we had $8 million we could turn. And now the $8 million turned into $50 million. It turned into buying $500 million worth of real estate in 18 months. So that's literally what's possible. If you got to start, right? It doesn't matter. You got to go, right? And so it really is that start button. And so a lot of people that I've talked to recently, they want to ask a lot more about the investment club process, because everybody always, why should you have an investment club where, and maybe there's hard money lenders that are members of this, and that's fine, but it's a way for people to participate in deals and see how the math works without risking 100% of their own capital. So anyway, so I throw that out there, and if you want to follow up on that offline, I can walk through that with you as far as how I've done that in the past and the way that we've heard people may want it done. One of the things we've been asked to do as we've been rolling out is actually to help people set those up. So that's certainly not outside of my area of expertise or our capabilities. I can't be in 10 of those club meetings a month, right? So.
I can't understand why we on Zoom.
So any other questions, or we about wrapped up? Or I don't want to bore y'all. I could talk about land all night.
I don't think it's a soul on here that's bored. I think they're all in awe.
I think you hit it right on the head, Santa. I'm certainly not bored. You've got my brain churning.
Yeah.
I realize the value and when I've seen it before, but man, you guys are doing some serious, the access to information and the ability to aggregate that in one place is a complete game changer, and being able to make those decisions quickly, right, allows you to evaluate that many deals versus waiting around. You're not making money talking to the planning committee, right? You're making money by assessing deals and making offers. So
you got to get that contract out of the email.
Exactly.
You got to send that contract. You will not make any money if the signature's not on the contract.
Exactly. That is too cool. Yeah.
And he's also helping the exit strategy too, because so many people, they get so tied up in it turns to be personal, and then my God, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. We're gonna do it. And then
I just had a conference call with a client and his attorney today, and I said, "You're focusing too much time on this one flip contract. We need to go find other people to negotiate the flip contract with. We've been in negotiations with these people for 2 weeks. The chances of them signing the agreement right now are almost zero. So we need to find alternative sources to exit. We need to both shop for equity to be able to close with an equity investor that is going to bring the money to the table and take their equity piece, or we need to find somebody else to send this to, because these people have had the contract for too long. What time kills all deals, right?
That's right. Do it or get off the pot.
That's it. So, yes, get into negotiations, right? So
Mhm.
that's what it's got to be. Speed shows interest. Just ask your spouse. That's how you met.
Yep. Just couldn't do without her. Yep. Now you don't know what you're gonna do with her.
I can promise you, when your spouse called you when you first met and you were starting to date, it was a quick response.
Yes, sir, buddy.
That's good.
Yeah.
So
Well, go
show
on.
that, I mean, that's what you want to look for when you're making deals, right? You want to look for that quick turnaround in interest, right?
That's
Yeah, it
right.
shows they're motivated.
Well, they're serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they won't turn the documents, you're not making a deal.
Mhm.
Hmm. I'm just trying to. I have to absorb this. I might send you guys an email maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
But,
Well, that's fine. Well, we're here. We're here, and our goal is to make people smart about land and not have it hurt, right?
Okay. Well, Go, we really appreciate what you've done. That's been
thank
good.
you.
And thank you for Tom. Tom's done good. He's been patient with us and that type stuff. I think he's been finding out whether we gonna get motivated enough to put the line, sign the dotted line.
It's all
Okay.
good. We're here to help, and it's a fun business. It's a risky business, but it's very rewarding if you love doing it.
If it ever turns to a job, I'm out. I love it. I love how to do it, what to do, helping somebody else, and to see that sparkle in the eye whenever they just, I didn't realize I could do that.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
yes, thank y'all so much.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Vincent. Thanks everybody else for your questions, and look forward to seeing you all soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. It was great to have you, and we'll see you next Tuesday morning. All right.
Thank y'all.
Thanks,
Good night.
everyone.
And then next Tuesday night, we also got a ladies only meeting. So am I right, Susan?
Yeah, the
Yep.
15th.
Yep, 5:30 on Zoom next Tuesday night.
Great, baby.
Yep, and thank you, Tom, and thank you for a great presentation. A lot of information to digest.
Yep. Thanks, Susan.
He didn't come up with all this stuff at one time in 30 seconds. No. Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Good night, everyone.